You're staring at your screen, you just got an email from 23andMe, and your results have been updated. And suddenly, your German DNA is gone, or your Italian DNA disappeared, or some other ethnicity estimate has disappeared. Most people think that 23andMe tells them everything about their ancestry that they need to know through their ethnicity estimates, but it doesn't. Let me show you a few clues it hides and how I use AI to interpret them to look for hidden ancestry, like if you're Melungeon. Hi, welcome back. So we're going to get started with diving into 23andMe. I'm logged into my computer on my Mac. That's where I definitely recommend logging into. On your phone, it's just harder to navigate what we're going to be looking at. But it's just so much easier to work on your computer. I think even one of the features is hard to get on your Mac, or on the phone rather. So just go ahead and log into 23andMe. I've already got that going. The first thing we're going to look at is how the ethnicity estimates don't really add up in 23andMe. They just, they're cool, but there's not really a lot accurate to them, unfortunately. They're broadly accurate, which is nice, but the details aren't really that great. So what we're going to do first is dive in, click on Ancestry at the top here after you've logged in, and we're going to go down to DNA panting. View report, and this is the one that I don't think is available if you go through the app. So it's opening up. All right, so this is my ethnicity estimates, and the confidence level, this is what we're going to be dealing with. Confidence level is most likely right here. So as you see, British, English, Scottish, Irish, very small percent, so there's two there, mostly English. Western European, Dutch, French, you know, got some Swiss, Portuguese, you know, Melungeon stuff there. Swedish going on. Trace ancestry, that's going to be the Western North American, so that's Native American, but at 0.1%. However, this is most likely, and if we go over here to 50% confidence, that is pretty similar. So nothing really has changed. That trace ancestry, for me, the Western North American, Native American still stands. But again, we're dealing with 50%. I'm going to move myself kind of out of the way. We're dealing with 50% confidence. That's a guess, coin flip, right? But it's fun to look at. It's fun to kind of guess these things, but ultimately it's not really something that you can, you know, solidly claim that like I'm 10%, you know, Dutch, you know, 53% or 24% English. I guess that did change, right? So come up 53% English most likely. Yeah, so that changed. Go to 70% confidence, you know, 80%. So somehow they're getting that most likely 53% English there, with some other calculation than the 50%. So, but let's dive into 90% confidence. All right, we're going to be 1.3% Scottish, 11%, 11.7% British Irish, broadly Irish and British, 10.4%, you know, Western European, 2.4%, but broadly European, 85%. So that's anywhere from Portuguese to Italian to Czech Republic to broadly European, 85%. So European, right? That's kind of what we have to go with. But that trace ancestry for me is still there at 90% confidence. Western North American, 0.1%, and then 0.8% not assigned. But that's at 90% confidence. So we're really not seeing like a solid evidence base of ancestry that's predictable, or something that we can say, hey, that's definitely where my ancestors come from. Outside of 85% of it is European, which is pretty known amongst Melungeon ancestry, which is cool. But that's 23andMe. I'm going to do some other videos like Ancestry DNA and some other more detailed and accurate videos on, you know, that 80%, 85% European. One of the tools that I've used really shows that as being something, you know, kind of different. You know, it shows a lot of mostly Irish actually. So we'll get into that in another video. But I want to dive in, and I want to come over to family and friends overview. So come down after you click over in family and friends, scroll down, see all relatives. It's loading. All right, so right now this is going to be showing up my parents' names, my cousins' names, so I'm going to blur all this out when I'm doing the editing. And if you do a video going over this too, make sure you blur out all that data there for their privacy and whatnot. But we're going to go over here and we're going to click family names, and you're going to see a bunch of American names popping up in my case. So Smith, Johnson, Williams, Jones, Brown, Davis, Miller, Wilson, Thompson, Moore, Taylor, White, Thomas, Martin, Harris, Hall, King, Lewis, Adams, and Parker. So I want to go ahead and just copy these names because we're going to use these in ChatGPT. So I'm going to copy that list with the numbers there, and I got a pages opened up document, so I want to post that there. Oh, bigger font than I was expecting. All right, we're going to come over, and that's what we're going to be using AI to interpret. What is there anything to these names? You know, because surnames are a big thing for Melungeon ancestry, and you know, outside of the DNA stuff, and outside of getting a paper trail, which is really hard to do, since everybody was, you know, in the pursuit of, you know, being more white due to the legal issues. So we have a lot of, you know, white European names going on here, but is there something to this? We'll see. Maybe I've run this a couple of times. Maybe ChatGPT, you know, doesn't work for me today. But yeah, so that's the first clue that I wanted to dive into. I mean, another clue is the ancestry estimate. Sure. Ethnicity estimates, but we're going to be using these surnames to see if there's anything there. So I posted those into the pages, and now we're going to come over and we're going to look at this is something that unfortunately, unless you have the premium membership, you're not going to be able to see. But it's cool to look at, but I don't really know if you guys would be interested in the premium. I've canceled mine, I believe, but it still shows up. So but this is actually pretty interesting. Another clue for Ancestry, Melungeon Ancestry, is if you click this, okay, so it opened. What did it say it was? The Ancestry Composition Advanced Filters here, select a population. So what this is going to do is it's going to show me cousins, hundreds and thousands of cousins that have these ethnicities in their ethnicity estimates. So again, how accurate is that? That's the thing, but we're trying to figure out, hey, what does 23andMe think about this? You know, how accurate they are, sure, but we're going to scroll down. Again, you're going to see European, Northwest European, British, German, Scandinavian, Southern European, Portuguese, Eastern European. That's found up in Appalachia, supposedly, some Eastern European ancestry, especially with the Portuguese. Italian's also in Appalachia, but right here, right off the get-go, almost only a few categories down, I have cousins that have sub-Saharan African ancestry, 488 of them, East Asian, Indigenous American, 412, West African, 318, Indigenous American, another category, I guess, 307, Western Asian, North African, 250, Congolese, Angola and Congolese, Nigerian, Greek Balkan, Ashkenazi Jew, Ghanaian, probably West African, Finnish in there, North Asian, Anatolia, Egypt, Chinese, Southern African, Japanese, Korean, Levantine, so Middle East, North African, Filipino, Central and South Asian, Korean, the list just goes on. I'm not going to waste all the time spouting those up. So I don't have any of those estimates, right? And those could just be not related to me at all. But I think that's interesting that I have all these cousins that have these ethnicity estimates. And one of the big things about Melungeon ancestry is there's a lot of endogamy. So a lot of intermarrying, a lot of ancestry kind of popping up and staying strong, I guess, in family groups. So let me see, can I copy any of this? No, it's not going to let me copy it. But I can just mention it in ChatGPT. Make sure I'm focusing on the camera. This is my second video, so I'm looking at my screen, but then I'm trying to stay focused on the camera. You guys in the comments can let me know if I'm doing a good job or not in that second video. All right, so we're going to take this in. Oh, actually, we're going to come over here and I want to go back to Ancestry, not click on it, but we're going to come to Ancestry composition. Yeah. Click that, it's loading. Taking its time, okay. Here we go. So all this is showing the exact same stuff in the, when I went to the chromosome painting, but if we scroll to the bottom, there's going to be something interesting. So you're going to have a diaspora, hopefully, with you if you're American, and it's going to say European diaspora. So this one's going to be interesting because mine says Cumberland Mountains, early British and Irish Americans. Cumberland Mountains. So if you know anything about Melungeon ancestry, again, focusing on the camera, Melungeon ancestry, Cumberland Mountains is where that's the Cumberland Gap. That's Melungeon. So this is pretty fascinating to me that I ran upon this, that the Cumberland Mountains is my diaspora, my only diaspora. So that's pretty cool. Let me see if I click on it, it'll just talk about that area. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hop over onto ChatGPT, and I'm going to move myself over this way. And I'm going to log out of it. I'm not going to be logged in, because I don't want any bias of the ChatGPT that I use. So I want to see if there's anything going on with like just a clean slate. What does this ChatGPT think about my surnames? Anything there? Are these clues? What's going on? I want to see what it interprets. So first off, I'm going to just ask if there's any pattern to these surnames. So is there any pattern to these surnames? The numbers are the amount of cousins I have with that surname on 23andMe. All right, so we're gonna copy and paste those. Oop. And it doesn't copy the bullet points there, so that's good. Paste, and let's see what happens. Yes, there's a clear pattern, and it's mostly about surname frequency and origin, not necessarily close family structure. These are the most common Anglo-American surnames. Nearly every name on the list is the top 50 surname. Okay. Occupational names, why they show up strongly in 23andMe. Okay. So, if you think endogamy. Okay, so a few DNA-specific reasons amplify this effect. The endogamy thing here. So endogamy and colonial expansion. Early English settlers had fewer surnames, which spread widely as populations grew. So that's interesting. All right, so the next question is going to be, are any of these surnames associated with Melungeons? Melungeons. Okay. Let's see what it says. Short answer, yes. Several of these surnames do appear in Melungeon-associated families, but none of them are uniquely or exclusively Melungeon. Context matters. Surnames on your list are well documented in or Melungeon-adjacent communities. These show up repeatedly in records from Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, and Western North Carolina. About half of your listed surnames are found in Melungeon genealogies. Okay. So next I'm going to say about the ethnicity estimates of my cousins. I have hundreds of cousins listed in 23andMe that all have many ethnicity ethnicity estimates. Ooh, let me spell. Ethnicity estimates that range from Africa to Asia to the Middle East, and as well Native American ethnicity estimates. Is this also a Melungeon, I gotta type faster, clue when combined with the above info? Short answer, it can be consistent with Melungeon or Melungeon adjacent ancestry, but is not diagnostic itself. That's what we're just looking for patterns here and some clues. What would be Melungeon consistent in 23andMe days? Many distant cousins with mixed but small percentages. Okay. Let's see. What makes your case stronger than average? Taken together, many cousins with common Appalachian Melungeon associated names, hundreds of matches showing small, diverse, non-European components, variations rather than uniformity, a pattern spread across many cousins, not just you. That combination is more suggestive than any single angle alone. Strongest next test, multiple cousins shares. Bottom line, yes. What you're seeing is compatible with Melungeon or Melungeon adjacent ancestry when combined with your surname patterns. No single piece proves it, but the constellation of clues you describe is exactly how Melungeon ancestry usually shows up in consumer DNA databases. All right, well, let's share now the diaspora of the Cumberland Mountains, see what happens. I also, sorry for slow typing. Maybe I'll cut this out and try to make it shorter. Also show in my European diaspora, in the US, the Cumberland Mountains. Does this strengthen the Melungeon case with the above info again? Yes, this does strengthen the Melungeon or Melungeon adjacent case, especially when taken together with everything you've already described. This still isn't absolute proof on its own. That's why we're just looking for clues. But the combined patterns you're seeing is very characteristic. Talks about the Cumberland Mountains, where they're located at, surnames, how the pieces fit together now, some endogamy stuff going on, suggests. Bottom line, yes, the Cumberland Mountains diaspora region meaningfully strengthens the Melungeon or Melungeon adjacent interpretation when combined with your surname patterns and cousin ethnicity diversity. Let's just see what happens. Maybe I'll cut this out if it's like, you have like 2% chance of being Melungeon when I'm Melungeon, with obviously other stuff, but that I'll get into. But let's just see if it's going to take a guess at if it thinks I'm Melungeon or not. Okay, so with just this info above, take a guess at how confident you are that I have some Melungeon ancestry. Okay, that's a statement on a question, right? Okay, so with all this info, take a guess. All right, let's see what it says. All right, let's roll the dice. Stay logged out. Oh no. Oh no. Stay logged out. Okay, here we go. Given only information above shared and being careful not to overestimate, here's my honest take. Oh, I'd put you at roughly 60 to 75% chance likely that you have some Melungeon or Melungeon adjacent ancestry. Not 100%, not proven, but clearly above, maybe, and well beyond what I'd expect from a random Appalachian ancestry alone. Why it's that high and not lower. Individually, none of your clues would push for confidence very far. What raises it to 60 to 75% range is how many independent signals are all pointing in the same direction. Cumberland Mountains, hundreds of cousins with small, varied non-European components, surname overlap, scale matters. Why it's not 90 to 100%. Yeah, there's only 3 clues. Bottom line, more likely than not, and not by a small margin. And then it just asks what I could do next. So ultimately, just those 3 clues, right, that's 3 clues of some data from just 23andMe showed that I have a strong possibility of having Melungeon ancestry, as I already know. But this is something that you guys, looking at the camera, this is something that anybody can get on and start kind of investigating. The surnames is pretty interesting. Ethnicity estimates aren't really that great. I know I use them for the cousins thing if you want to purchase the premium. It is like a year. I don't get any money from that or anything, but that kind of was interesting to see all that. A bulk of the European, like maybe like 6 of them, and then bam, tons of non-European ethnicity estimates coming up. Even though I'm not really sure about the accuracy, my Native American stayed there at 0.1%, tiny, very tiny. But it was confident there for 90%, at the confidence level of 90%. So this is just something that you guys can play around with if you want. I'm going to be doing some other videos with Ancestry DNA about some clues there. I don't think there is as many. I'll have to revisit that. And I'll be doing some more very accurate ancestry data stuff in other videos as well. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. And I'll keep going and making cool videos and try to look more at the camera. But thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.